So I'm here preparing to desolder some of the back capacitors on this board. Right now I'm working on, I believe it's C31, right down in here. It's next to those other two little gizmos. And then I'll have another two to remove over there. Let's see, when you look on this side, I've been working on a little bit. I got a little bit of, got the one side out of there. So I ordered these from electronics store online. Now this one, you'll notice, it's just bulging a little bit, but these two over here have got discoloration coming out of them. Back out a little bit so it focuses. So I'm replacing those three, C31, and I think these are in the 300, 1 and 3 or something like that. Got this pocket of them over here that some people say to replace those, but I don't see any swelling on those at all. They all look pretty good. I don't see any discharge like these two. This one though was definitely still had a curve to the top of it. Really can't show it that well, but yeah, this one's definitely swollen. So you know, I think the most expensive ones I ordered for this the Samsung monitor, I've got the widescreen one as well that went bad on me, so I'm not sure, but between the two sets that I ordered, the most expensive one of these capacitors was 93 cents for high temperature resistance, so that's not bad. I got this little bulb sucker over at one of the Radio Shacks that they're not going to close down, and they just were out of flex. They emptied the store and then they decided to restock it. I guess some manager needs his retirement and he hasn't made it there yet, so they're going to keep that store open. But yeah, I'm not happy with the way this desoldering tool is working, but I don't do this kind of thing often, so I just got to release it quicker with my fingers, release the suction quicker. I guess if you had like an old baby nose sucker or something, that might work too. You probably belt the hell out of it, but you know, necessity is the mother of invention. So a lot of people have mentioned they're not going to take apart their monitor until they get the parts in, and then some people say that all these boards can be a little bit different in the power supply. So I left my big widescreen monitor working with all the flicker. It's driving me nuts, and I've got a routine of slapping and doing things to get it going, but I'm sick and tired of it, so I'm going to make a video on both of them, but I'm doing the standard width monitor here first, and I just used a putty knife to open that up. There's plenty of videos out there on how to open up the case. I used a dollar store putty knife for that. So I'll let off here and I'll get back to work on desoldering a little bit more on that one. And again, I think if I read it correct, it's C31, and I'll give the specs on the replacement values. I got that desoldered there, and I pull this sucker out there. I have to read it for you. I have to take out my contacts, go back to my glasses to see all this fine work. A lot of people use a magnifying glass. This is a KF 105 Celsius C646 vent capacitor, and the value is this stripe over here is this gray stripe is the negative side. So when you get your replacements, there's going to be a long and a short lead, but you can also look at the stripe for where the negative side goes. And this is 470 micro F 25 volt Capzon, CAPXON. So I ordered some Panasonic ones off of a popular electronics website, and I'll hold this up here, get a good look at it. I can't really get it focused in. I'm hoping that you can see that there is that curve to the top there. It's definitely a little curved. It's not got the discharge like these other two over here. I'm going to go ahead and remove those two. They're in there pretty tight with some other things. That's why I picked this one to start with. practice my desoldering skills. I haven't done that since high school, long time ago. And I believe we were just putting stuff in high school. I don't think I've ever actually had to desolder before, unless I made a little bit of a mess. So that's all there is to it, keeping me from throwing away a perfectly good monitor. Heck no, man. The Samsung, I bought it, and it was a nice one, and I got a widescreen one back in the day, maybe 8 years ago now, and I paid good money for those back in the day, and they're definitely not like the trash, the Dells, and everything else people are donating to Goodwill. I could get one of those for 15 bucks, but who knows if it's even going to work. So to me, just to keep my match set, this is worth it to me to go ahead and replace these capacitors. You know, I don't do this stuff very often, electronics, so it's fun to go back in. I didn't see anything like this at Radio Shack, of course, because the two poles are side by side, and the capacitors at Radio Shack at least my little Radio Shack, one comes out of each end. So you definitely don't want to order those online unless you have some kind of different resources available to you. I heard somebody saying they're going to go and steal them out of some other device. Well, you know, they're probably going to be reaching the end of their life in that other device too. So yeah, they're meant to split down in there. I've seen some other videos where people have blackish discharge, maybe just a very little bit. This is definitely orange, you know, maybe it oxidized or something, and on those other videos where it's black, it hasn't had time to oxidize. I'd say this monitor, for me, is about 8 years old. Bought new at Fry's. I've enjoyed it. So I'm going to fix it and show it some love. And I'll post more details and add on to Okay, so I got in here, you see the C2, C7, those little two flat ones, and I took out the C31. You see the two holes there, I pulled that one out, I showed that. Now I'm down here working on C201 and C202. I'll do next. I've desoldered C201. The curved arc there, that's the negative side. All the negative sides are towards the bottom the way I'm holding it. And I think I showed that you got C205, C210, and C206 down here in the corner. I'm not going to take those out because they're still in pretty good shape. So I just desoldered C201. See, they're kind of tight. I must have got a bunch of that discharge that's coming out of it on my hands here. And I'm going to pull that sucker out there. It's the same value as the other one, same voltage. So the three I'm replacing on this board are all the 470, 25 volts. I'm going to get that next one there out. You see that dark curve line here at C31 and the C201, and you kind of see it for the next one. That dark line represents the negative side, and as I said, you're going to have a shorter pin when you get your new ones here. I'm kind of using these old other soldering irons as a holder, let it build up some heat in between each one. And I'm going to go ahead here and desolder this next one. When I flip the board over, I always triple check to make sure I'm going to the right one here. And got a little extra solder here. I don't have any flux, they're out of flux at Radio Shack. And some people say that some of these boards are using higher temperature solder. So this seems to kind of dilute that. What I was doing before with desoldering, because I never did it really before, is I was afraid to get this bulb in here, and I was kind of blowing the cold air on the connection. And so now I got that, see, it's got all silvery now. The shine is off of it. It's not dull. You get right in there and just suck it off. Spit out little balls of stuff there. I just wasn't getting it right up on it, and that's what I had to do. And release real quick, and that's it on that side. And then when I get the other side done, I kind of come in here and try to straighten out these leads. It makes it easier to pull it through the other side. And kind of use the bulb. These leads kind of go outwards, so I kind of like to turn the board so that the leads are facing towards the bulb, so I can get it right up on there easier. and sometimes it makes little figures like aluminum in a fire ant colony or something. Kind of sticks up in weird shapes. But my iron's not quite as hot as it was for the first one. It's a 25 watt ECG soldering iron. Again, just that cheap bulb desolderer from Radio Shack. And that's it. Can make sure that I don't nick myself with the board when I try to straighten these pins. Get them hot and get those suckers straightened out a little bit. Still got quite a bit of solder on that one. Looks like I got some on this one still too. So I'll try a little bit more here. It takes a while. I watched a bunch of videos on desoldering, and some people got some really nice desoldering guns. The one with the automatic vacuum pump is really kind of cool. But like I said, I don't do this very often, so it's not worth it to me to buy. You can hear some of the little beads of solder getting kicked out there. That'll be pretty good on that one. And again, I'm working on what is it? C202 here. Finish this sucker up. Just having a real hard time getting all the solder out because I don't have any flux. Kind of, I guess, sort of stealing flux from this other one. So I end up adding more solder to the problem. There it is. Let them melt there. I can burn myself when I do this. Of course, make sure I'm doing the right one every time I flip it around. First, I'm getting little beads of solder coming out of here, like little ball bearings, and I don't want them going over and getting into any one of the integrated circuits or anything. They're little pin connections. That's right there is what I was doing wrong before, so I wasn't really getting in there and sucking hard while it was really hot and warm. So there, now I got that pin to move. I'm going to get it a little straighter. Got to really get the remnants of solder in the hole. Some of the desoldering tools really suck all the stuff out. Kind of like a knife, you don't want it to fly and burn you. I'm going to try to bend these pins straight. So, got to kind of get underneath the curve to melt the solder in the first place. There we go. Okay. Of course, I'll drop a little more solder down in there. And the other thing I didn't mention was you want to take like a screwdriver or something and connect both leads on your capacitors, so you don't end up having a discharge there. I'm trying to start a fire here with my soldering iron. And that's it. They're out. They're a little warm. Nothing that hurts. And so that's it. So I'm removing C31, of course for me, C31, C202, and C201 there. And I'm going to leave these guys over here alone because they don't seem swollen. They don't seem like they've gone bad. The values on these for you guys trying to order them before you work on it, it's hard to see, but these guys over in the corner are 1,000 microfarads. Of course, looks like they're 25 watt as well. And then the one in the real corner here, what is that? That's C205. This littler one, it says it's 330 and also 25 volts. So these guys in the corner are 1,000. I think the ones on my other board are 970s, and people said you could go ahead and go up to 1,000. But so if you're trying to order these before you work on your board, and you want to do all of them, which a lot of people say you should do, or should be back in here doing it again. So that was 330 at 25 volts, and these two look to be 1,000. They're 105C rated. Bend this a little bit. Yeah, that one's 1,000 also. So two 1,000s and a 330, and then the three that I removed, these are all 470. People say you can go a little higher. 25 volts as well, so it seems like most all of those are 25, all of them that I've seen and reviewed there. and that series of 6 are 25 volts. Alright. So one thing I did notice here, the kids screaming, not wanting to go to bed, distracting me. These new ones that I ordered, they actually, I don't know what the specs were on the website, I have to go and double check, but they say 85C for the rating on the back of these, VR and M in parentheses. So here's the one that I pulled out of the board. Of course it's 105C, made to vent, but if you look at that one on the top, under this stove light here, just kind of see how it's not reflecting all 4 quadrants at the same time. You look at these bad boys and there's no doubt they're nice and flat. Nice and flat. So they haven't vented for sure. Brand new. This thing, I still see some of the orange discharge, and yeah, it doesn't want to reflect off of all the surfaces at the same time. It's bad. And of course it's a little taller, so these will definitely fit in that regard, and it's spot on for width. So I know a couple of those were in there pretty tight next to each other. And when I come down here to the pin width, they're almost identical. You know, what, a centimeter away from the bottom. So yeah, like I said, you know, the stripe is the negative side, and you look on here, and that's going to be the shorter lead. So I was a little bit confused about that from some people's videos, but they mentioned that. So you'll be able to keep track of it even after you trim it up. I don't know if I'm definitely not going to trim it that short as this old one. I'll solder it and then I'll clip it off. Maybe I might have to trim it down a little bit first, but that stripe will tell you always which one's the negative side. And on the board, that darker portion of the circle around where the capacitor goes is the negative side. And there's a marking on the back that you can figure out. Look it up on electronics markings websites or something, but yeah, as far as I can tell, all the capacitors, the negative side is to that side of the board. But people have said that all these boards can be different. I don't know about that with the Samsungs, but this is my board. It was that RU-C from the US, model number E153405. I don't know how important that is, but yeah, you're gonna have to get yours open if they are different, in fact, and double check. But if it's the same and you order your parts ahead of time, then you'll be tore apart a lot less time. And a lot of people have 2 monitors these days, like I do, fortunately. So even though they're both flickering, and I put one off to the side and took the other one, used it as my main, and then it started flickering too. So yeah, Samsung needs to get their act together, but it's like anything from Korea. It runs a little hotter. Silicone, whatever they're making, chips seem to run a little hotter, people say. So I don't know where they're getting these capacitors that are originally in here, but I love Korea. I lived in Korea, and who knows where they make these Samsung power boards, but I'm disappointed that the product would go bad. Of course, only about 8 years, but nothing lasts forever these days. I definitely wouldn't touch this big capacitor without going across those 2 leads and shorten them out. But I didn't have any need to get my fingers near that thing. So definitely be careful when you're in here working on these things, and consult an expert if you need to. So here's the replacement capacitor going in the board. You got the shorter lead towards the dark side there. Fits in real nice. So yeah, I think those were 5mm spacings on the leads. That's pretty good. Let's go ahead and bend them the way they were. There's little black tabs there. You can see it here on this video. I don't have macro photography, but that definitely is kind of probably for kind of instructional value to show you which way to aim the tail. You can see that there's this curved line with the tail in the middle. Reminds me of one of the Korean characters, actually, but that's electronic script. and so that'll be the negative side. That's the shorter lead there. So I'll replace solder that one, and then I'll go ahead and insert. So that's C31. Then I'll go in and do C201 and 202. And yeah, hey, if it's that simple, definitely not worth throwing something in the landfill. It's a monitor I enjoy. If I'm going to spend money to get another one, I want to upgrade to something with better pixel quality. But yeah, this is not my widescreen one. I think my widescreen one has a lot better resolution. But yeah, I'll go ahead and solder that in. Definitely easier to solder than desolder. Yeah, so I always manage to screw things up somehow. So I was in here next to these. What are those? I said it was C2 and 7 or whatever. Next to C31 here, I was doing this negative pin here, and I actually got so much darn solder on there that I connected it to that little onboard chip next to the lead. I had solder right across the junction. Again, they're kind of desolder again and start back from scratch. But yeah, and I got those. Can't really get in there. I got those soldered in. I'll clip those leads off, the negative one. Of course, this side, away from the serial number. I'll clip those two off. I'll go do these other two and be done. Yeah, so that's it. Got them in there, didn't burn my fingers. That's C31 and C201 and C202 all soldered in there. Clip off those leads and plug it back in and see how it works. I'll be excited. Got them in there, really nice. Not really touching each other there. They're not loose like when I got the other one done. That one's not really loose. So C31, forget C202 and C201 there on top, wherever you want to call top, and then I wrote off the values on this one and this one, 1,000. I think that's 330. I did notice there's a little capacitor down here underneath this white gooey stuff, but for me, that one seems like it's in good shape. The negative side seems to be going straight up here, and so just for you people that want to order everything and replace everything, I'm going to try to read this off here. I'll say now that one is 105 rated, just like the others. It's going to be hard to peek down in there and look at the value. Yeah, this light's not doing me any good here. Yeah, looks like that one is 22 UF. Gosh, my eyes could be deceiving me. That looks like it says 50 volts. That's a small guy, so yeah, I don't know why it would be 50 volts. Seems like everything else on here is 25. I read these guys off for you guys. These 1,000, and I really can't see so well, but whoa, hey, so those 1,000s are 16 volt for this one here, C205. Sorry if I said it was 25 volt before. Good thing I noticed that little one, 16 volt. Really can't see in there on the next one, on C210. There's other things in the way here. Geez, where's the writing? The writing's just to the right. Yeah, it's 16 volts as well. 1,000 UF. This one on the corner here, it is 25 volts. So man, that's why I thought those two were 25 volts, like my 470s. The three that I soldered in are 25 volts. So this little medium one here, I'll call it, is what I thought was small before, is 25 volt, just like the three I replaced. So these two taller ones here in the corner, they're 16 volt, 1,000, and this little tiny guy who was hiding from me, I didn't even notice him. He's going to be a 105 rated, but I'm going to peek down in there. What I say is 50 volt, and it's 22 UF. 22 UF at 50 volts. So, and I don't know who might want to replace this big honking capacitor here, but it's 100 UF at 450 volts. This big one here that I said I didn't want to even touch. So anything that has a silver top that could pop on you, and below I've gone over, except for I don't know what this black thing in the very, very corner is next to those three. And I don't know why this little capacitor is up. Got this white stuff against it coming off this yellow square thing here. I totally didn't see that thing. And if I had to try to read the number, it's C204 is that really, really tiny one that's 22. What I'm calling the medium now that I called small before is C206, and then these two medium ones are 205 and 210 respectively. So I've replaced C201, what is it, C202 and C31 in this video. I really don't feel like replacing these other ones. And that little guy, I'm glad I didn't have to replace him. So I think that mine look good. I don't see any discharge out of these other ones. They're not really shiny anymore, but yeah, this one looks nice and flat. This large one, these other ones all look flat. So there's the three that I replaced right there, and they're nice and shiny. They all reflect in the same direction instead of just one quadrant. And I got to clip these leads off and plug her in. I'm probably too long-winded on this video. Well, I know a lot of people want to get all the details before they take something apart. It's probably a little long. Those a little long. Alright, so just going to get down here and clip these leads off. Just your normal little kind of wire clippers here for me. Trying to get them, that one was better, short as possible without damaging anything else on there. To come in here when I'm not holding the camera and trim it up a little bit. But I'm excited to plug this back in. Now this is for my SyncMaster 932B. I know a lot of these are similar, but somebody said a lot of the boards could be made differently. But yeah, I mean, that makes me excited that I can do something like this and keep something from going to the landfill. See quite a few people in my neighborhood throwing out older plasma TVs. I had to pay a lot to have mine serviced, and they cranked up the voltage on a lot of the variable resistors just to get the thing to work. So yeah, hey, people can repair lots of stuff. And I worked at Radio Shack in college. One of the electronics professors from the nearby university came in, State University, big well-known university. In the early days of DVD players, we sold them one for $1 because it wouldn't work. And he took it home, and it was just the power lead. So you never know what you're going to find until you open up your unit. So here's my SyncMaster, Samsung SyncMaster 932B. The way I left it here for what doesn't seem like very long. I think maybe Thursday I took it apart. You get that little wing nut on the bottom. I popped out the holder that it was screwed to, and I use this dollar store putty knife to pry the edges open. I'll show you that here in a second. So I got the circuit board. I trimmed those three capacitors off a lot nicer, the 6 connections. Got them really down there. I actually found one from the factory that was a little long that I trimmed down too with my wire clippers. So I'm excited to get that back in there. I don't remember I think this tape is from some of the wires inside. Someone has a video where he goes around and shows you how to pry this open, and I really liked his suggestions to leave the bottom here around these buttons for last. That was very helpful. Didn't really chip up the edges. Those white marks are from rubbing on a wall probably. I got a little bit of kind of nicks here where I started on the top, but nothing real noticeable. And so there are these little tabs around the edge like he was talking about. So there's one up here at the corner, top corner. Kind of got kind of a nasty edge on here now, but they're just, the hook kind of comes down on this edge. They're like that all the way around. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 down here at the bottom. So I'm glad I left these 4 at the bottom for last. What is it? 1, 2, 3 on the side. So 4 on the tops. And not really on top of each other, top and bottom. And so that's pretty nice. I disconnected some of these connectors here. There's one little connector here. That was kind of a pain to get that unpinched there. Sorry I can't film too small. I got this connector up here. It's probably going to be one of the more difficult ones to get back in there. Probably don't need that small of a screwdriver. And I'll move all this stuff out of the way now. Just need my screwdriver. And so this all just kind of came off. I don't think there was any. There's a little bit of this tape here, kind of packing tape over this lead. And I don't remember where that other tape came from. It was from this or some other project on the front of my monitor. And then so that's the money shot inside. I didn't disconnect any of these other wires, just this lead here, and then that complicated metal bar one over here. So just 2 leads, and I got it open up in here. Of course, on the inside I disconnected these 2 corner suckers, and this one here, and here's the back side of that ribbon that goes back over here. So that's that there. And so really just 3 connectors in here to the board that I've been working on with those capacitors. I screwed all these screws back in here. Let's have 3 black ones and a silver one. The silver one's probably the ground. So 4 screws inside and 3 connections. So I'm going to stop here for a second. So this is the point where I realized I don't really remember if the pink wires or the blue wires go on which side here. For length of wire and how they seem to have been bent, where they favored to go, it seems like this would be the bottom of the monitor up here. This would be the top of the monitor. Seems like pink is on the bottom, blue is on the top. That might be a little sexist. Like I said, I lived in Korea, so that makes sense to me. And then I recommend you plug this end in last if you get those 4 little leads in there. And then don't forget they slide into little grooves here. Get it down in there. This is where your power coder will go up here, and this is where your DVI and other type of monitors go into that board there. I kind of took that screw out and peeked in there to see if I saw any capacitor. They really couldn't see nothing. I'm going to screw these screws in, starting with the ground first, and then flip this back over. Now this retaining thing here kind of feeds in this groove here. So when you're disassembling, you'll want to remember that. And then as soon as I got the board out, I just put the screws right back in, the retaining clip and all that stuff, so that it would be there when I came back. I never know how long these projects are going to take me. Yeah, so I'm just kind of looking back here at my original notes on capacitors, which ones are good, which ones are bad, and I can't believe I'm already to the stage where I'm putting this thing back together. On the edge here, there's these little teeth that kind of fit between these black double-tined items. Here's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They kind of fit in there. I was struggling. Why is there a screw hole here and stuff? I don't remember having any screws. Maybe. Seems to me the whole thing came apart just by popping out the little things with the thing. That's the thing that you don't remember. Maybe I should have filmed taking it apart. But yeah, it seems like when the case goes back on the back here, that'll take care of it. There's these little cushy white things up there. That seems like it's going to go into this hole here maybe. I'm worried about some of these wires just being around in here, but yeah, it's not going anywhere now, because once that case is on there, it's locked in by these little grooves here. And then over on this side, they're equally spaced with the other side, but just two of these little notches on this side go in there. I plug this sucker back in. I don't remember which way was up or not. It seems like the tooth goes towards the back. So yeah, that's how I figured out the wires for the blue and the pink. They just seemed to lay the way they wanted to, and this is the way it seems like it's supposed to plug in, with the black wire towards what would be the, or is that a blue, towards what would be the top of the monitor. I saved that tape and put it back in. I got this underneath that little clip there, and I'm going to put it back together now. So I'm just I've turned the monitor around here so that I'm working at the bottom. I lined up these buttons at the bottom, pushed it in, heard a double snap there. I'm just going to work my way back around the outer edge here. I'm hearing a bunch of snapping and popping, and if I keep going with that slogan, maybe I'll violate a trademark for some breakfast cereal here, but yeah, so that's going real well. I'm just working my way around the edge here. Of course, it wasn't too pretty over here, so this white stuff's probably from some drywall or some wall paint. I don't remember ever having this up against a wall, but I must have in the past. And yeah, I really don't remember where this tape came from. Who knows where I gathered garbage. So yeah, that was the video side back there. This is the side we worked on over here. Got a few more things. I should get that out of there. I really don't remember where that tape came from. It's probably some other project. I'm going to try to get a few more things to click up here on top. There's one. Seems like one more right there. Yeah, I think I told you guys there was like so many on the top, so many on the bottom. But now this sucker seems to be sealed on all sides. It didn't really get chipped up too bad. I think I showed some edges where I thought it was going to look bad, but now that's back together, I hardly see too much of this. This is probably the worst spot right here. It's a little rough to my finger, but I'd be hard pressed to see it if I wasn't looking for it there. Most of that junk there is wall paint. So yeah, I mean, I can feel. Some people said you can ding it up. So I was careful. I mean, you can get separator tools and stuff, but that putty knife kind of worked for me. And so this is where I started on the top, and that's probably the roughest little section right there. I guess you could start on a corner or something, then work your way along the top. But I figured it would be stronger out here in the middle. And so that's my 2001 aspect ratio. Older, I guess it's 8 years old for me now. The Syncmaster 932B Bravo. All put back together. Put the stands on here and then plug it in and maybe wipe it down with some Windex for once a year. Maybe once in the last few years. Haven't used this one much over the years, but I pulled it out when the large one started flickering, and then it started flickering. So I decided to tear it apart first, since it's so yeah, I went through all that and talking that smack about the blue and pink wires, and I forgot to plug the white wire cluster plug back into the board. Really nice to power it back up. So I had to go back in there and open the case again, and now I got a couple little stringy little pieces of plastic hanging up here off the top. Like two of those. And so this time I didn't close the case until I got all the way working and verified. That's maybe something I'd recommend, is don't snap those last suckers together until you see non-flickering screen. It's a beautiful thing. I'm so glad that I got that tip to go and look on YouTube and see somebody get into the back of a different model. And I got my other one over here on the floor next to my pump organ, and I can't wait to take that apart. Maybe I'll do a little nicer job on the case opening, but yeah, no flicker now. Real nice. I haven't logged in yet. I'm not going to show you my password, but yeah, so I don't even know if that last segment recorded. My camera battery ran out, but yeah, now there's a little bit more roughness around the edges since I had to open that case for what, second time now. But hey, what was that? $3 worth of capacitors plus the shipping. Very happy, you know. I like these two monitors. I got them because they look the same. None of the stands are the same nowadays, and so they kind of match set, even though they're not the same. One's regular width. This is a 932 Sigmaster B, and Sigmaster 932B. And the other one I've got, I'll have to open up and replace. Hopefully, I ordered the right parts going off of somebody else's video. Theirs wasn't exactly like mine, but yeah. So if you have a Sigmaster 932B, hopefully somebody saying that not all the power supply boards are wrong. You can pre-order that stuff from Moser or whoever. There's some other digital something supplier out there for electronics. Doesn't seem to be a problem with those capacitors rated 85C. I've rarely lived in countries that go with the Celsius code, but you know, 40-degree days, like what, 105. I've never felt this thing get up to like what would 85C be, like 200 degrees or more, boiling almost. I never felt my monitor get that hot in the back, so hopefully 85 degrees Celsius rating on those three capacitors is plenty good for me. And again, those were 470 UF, is that microfarad or something, and 25 volt for those three. So $3 and it's fixed. So thanks for watching.